Oh, I know what you're thinking. You're worried about the dowry. Well, worry not.
Ever find yourself wondering why a cherished cartoon has vanished from the airwaves? Or maybe there's that one classic episode that never seems to come up in reruns. Well, you're not alone. Cartoon fans have wondered about that for years. This is Rich from Rerun Zone, and today we're going to take a look at the battles that go on behind the scenes with one of the most outrageous cartoons of all time. Sit back for the tale of Ren and Stimpy versus the Censors on this episode of Rerun Zone. Chapter 1: The Battle Behind the Scenes. There's a tug of war going on that remains invisible to viewers. It's between the artists who create these animated gems and the censorship gatekeepers. To really see how it works, let's dive into the crazy world of the Ren and Stimpy Show. It's hard to believe now that this cartoon is over 30 years old, but it was a great example of artists challenging the status quo. It was a roller coaster ride blending the ridiculous, the grotesque, and the utterly boundary-pushing elements that left some people praising it and others squirming in their seats. It had color, it had life, and it pulled no punches when it came to what's considered appropriate entertainment. It was a show filled with controversy that the creators loved, but it made the networks very nervous. So get ready for some happy joy as we're about to plunge headlong into the wild world of the Ren and Stimpy Show. When it comes to controversy, this cartoon has it all. Chapter 2: The controversial masterpiece that rocked the animation world. The Ren and Stimpy Show was a cartoon that seemed innocent on the surface, but this wasn't just another romp in your typical Saturday morning cartoon lineup. This was something all on its own, a real phenomenon that brought out strong feelings to say the least. The Ren and Stimpy Show made its TV debut in the summer of 1991 and was the brainchild of visionary creator John Kricfalusi. John got his start in animation on Super Friends and the Tom and Jerry comedy show in the late 70s. He later worked for Filmation and Hanna-Barbera, and in the late 1980s hooked up with director Ralph Bakshi, where he supervised Mighty Mouse: The New Adventures for CBS. After several projects, Kricfalusi formed Spumco Animation Studio and began working on a pilot for the Ren and Stimpy Show. The show got huge ratings for Nickelodeon, and at the time was the most popular cable TV show in the United States. The Ren and Stimpy Show was an incredible roller coaster ride that followed the strange and dysfunctional lives of two unlikely companions: Ren, the neurotic, perpetually irate Chihuahua, and Stimpy, an idiotic but good-natured cat. Their misadventures teetered on a razor-thin tightrope between hilarious and bizarre, and gave us a one-of-a-kind animation experience. It threw out the standard cartoon playbook and served up a feast of dark humor, surreal storytelling, and questionable jokes for adults, all brought to life in bold, eye-catching animation. The characters were expressive, the situations outrageous, and the humor was bizarre, to say the least. The public reception was divided. Some called it nothing short of revolutionary. Critics praised its bold approach and willingness to break away from the safe, predictable tropes that had been popular on Saturday mornings for a long time. The show found a passionate following, especially among teens and adults who loved its edgy and unpredictable style. But not everyone loved Ren and Stimpy. For some, the humor was too crude, and the content was a little too mature for children. The show faced criticism from conservative groups and parents who were concerned that it was too violent, too vulgar, and unsuitable for a children's cartoon. So, the stage was set for a direct clash with the network censors, a meeting that would eventually change not only the course of this show, but also the whole world of animated TV as we know it. Chapter 3: Ren and Stimpy versus the Censors: The Epic Showdown. This is where it really gets interesting. The show's no-holds-barred humor and daring subject matter led to a full-on confrontation with the network bigwigs and their censors. In the episode titled Man's Best Friend, Ren, the infamous Chihuahua, attacks George Liquor with a boat oar, beating him unmercifully. It's an episode that caused controversy immediately upon its release. Nickelodeon was so alarmed by the episode that it was immediately pulled from the schedule. The situation left many loyal viewers wondering what just happened. Powdered Toast Man is another infamous episode that was a mix of absurdity and political satire that didn't sit well with Nickelodeon executives. The episode ended up being heavily edited to the point where it barely resembled its original form. When it was finally aired, the episode was much less daring and ambitious than what was intended. And then there was the infamous Sven Huick episode. It was an episode that had both bathroom humor and implied nudity in the closet litter box scene. It left censors frantically searching for their editing scissors. The episode was stripped down, reassembled, and finally deemed fit for public consumption after significant changes. The notorious Ren Seeks Help episode was so controversial that it was left in cartoon limbo for over 10 years before finally being aired on Spike TV in 2003. This struggle was just the tip of the iceberg. The creative minds behind the Ren and Stimpy Show were in a constant battle of wits with the censors who were guarding the airwaves. It was an endless balancing act, with the creators trying to maintain their unfiltered artistic vision while the network censors imposed their own moral and ethical standards. During its second season, Crick Falusi got in serious trouble with the network, not only because of the controversy, but also for not meeting production deadlines. That resulted in Nickelodeon's finally terminating his contract. But here's the kicker. Despite the censors' roadblocks, despite the edits, cuts, bans, and firings, the Ren and Stimpy Show never lost its radical identity. Its rebellious spirit lived on through all of it, and that, my friends, is why it remains an unforgettable classic in the annals of cartoon history. Chapter 4: The Undying Legacy of the Ren and Stimpy Show. After the last episode of the Ren and Stimpy Show aired, it left behind more than just fond memories of its twisted humor and fast-paced animation. The show had a huge impact on the animation industry, causing significant changes and leading to an animation revolution. It wasn't just a small blip on the radar, it was a significant transformation that had a ripple effect far beyond the show itself. Some of the TV shows that were influenced by Ren and Stimpy were heavy hitters like Beavis and Butthead, South Park, and Family Guy, which broke the mold created by Ren and Stimpy and created their own unique style. These shows tackled themes and humor that were so brazen and out there that they would have been inconceivable in a world before Ren and Stimpy. And let's not overlook the animation techniques they pioneered. The combination of grotesque close-ups and exaggerated physical comedy. You can see echoes of that in modern cartoons like SpongeBob SquarePants and Adventure Time. In fact, Ren and Stimpy were the godfathers of a whole new animated vocabulary using visual stunts and gags that continue to inspire today's animators. The legacy of the Ren and Stimpy Show goes beyond influence and imitation. It highlights the conversation around censorship, with the show's high-profile disputes with the censor board sparking a national debate and forcing us to question the limits of a children's cartoon and where we should draw the line. In a way, Ren and Stimpy paved the way for an ongoing dialogue about content, age appropriateness, and artistic freedom. If you want to see more of how classic cartoons have been censored in the past, check out one of these two videos, and let me know your thoughts on the Ren and Stimpy Show in the comments below. This is Rich from Rerun Zone. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.